Student loan forgiveness is once again on the political agenda. A $400 billion plan created by the Biden administration is now subject to congressional review, opening the door to criticism and a possible block by the GOP. Senator Bill Cassidy is one of the most prominent opposers to Biden's plan and says he intends to fight it with a new resolution. Political analyst Jim Engster spoke with Kara St. Cyr about it.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Jim. So we're here to talk about the $400 billion plan that the Biden administration put forward for student loan forgiveness. So the Congressional Budget Office said that it's going to be expensive. And of course, it's facing some criticism now, and some of it is coming from Louisiana lawmakers.
Bill Cassidy is actually going to the legislative well and trying to stop it that way. It's before the Supreme Court. Chances are this will not become the law of the land, and the president was trying to do it unilaterally, which some people would take offense with, even if they agreed with him. But truth is, $400 billion is just a small portion of the $1.8 trillion that people have in student debt in our country. In fact, student debt exceeds credit card debt by about $500 billion. So a lot of people have debt, and this would have helped those with incomes under $125,000, $20,000 up to $20,000 of their debt. And Bill Cassidy says it's not a good idea. It's unfair to those who paid their debt, and it's unfair to those who didn't go to college. And so we have a stalemate. Republicans control the U.S. House now, so it may pass there, Cassidy's resolution, but likely to fail in the Senate. And also the president, I'm sure, would pull out his veto pen. And the Supreme Court, which is largely conservative now, seems unlikely to go along with it either. So it looks like each side may be scoring some political points, but in reality, I don't think either is on a good course at this point.
So let's go back to the criticism. Bill Cassidy says that it's unfair. How is it unfair?
He believes that some people didn't go to college and shouldn't have to pay the freight for those who did. And as we know, having a college degree is a great benefit already. And then, of course, there are some people, like probably Dr. Cassidy, yours truly, who paid off student loans, but college was a lot less expensive in those days. And those who are pointing fingers at Dr. Cassidy say, why would a man who has worked for the public and been paid by the taxpayers at Earl K. Long and in the U.S. Senate and in the U.S. House and in the state legislature, why would he be the one leading the charge? But I think he sincerely believes he's on the right course, and he's got a long way to go to get this where he wants it to go, and the president does as well. So at this point, it looks like this is dead on arrival unless something unusual happens in the next few weeks or months.
What would be something unusual?
Well, it would be if some people got a conversion and went along with Dr. Cassidy, but then President Biden would likely veto it. So I would say the odds of him succeeding are lower than the president, because the U.S. Supreme Court might surprise people. If he could snag 5 of 9 Supreme Court justices, he could get it done that way. And right now this case is before the highest court in the land, but as we know, 7 of the justices were nominated by Republican presidents who probably are not in the same thinking mode as President Biden.
So what's our timeline here about how long until we know for sure whether Cassidy could be successful or, what the Supreme Court's decision will be?
The Supreme Court will rule, I'm sure, by June, and Senator Cassidy, he'll know within the next month or two whether this happens, or maybe sooner. So we'll know sometime in the next few months where this is, but the argument will not go away no matter what, and this has all kinds of layers of thought, including presidential powers, which goes beyond whether or not it's a good idea to relieve student loan debt.
Right, so I'm pretty sure that you're right. We will be seeing this for a long time, no matter what the decision is at the end of the day.
And surprisingly, even with TOPS, 650,000 people in Louisiana would benefit from this. So some are saying this is political for the president, who's up for re-election next year, because nationally, 43 million people would benefit from it, and most people don't like it when something that might be coming their way is not going to happen.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us and talking about this.
Thank you, Kara.